Today we're going to take a look at what is undoubtedly the most interesting looking RTX 3080 that we've seen yet this launch. This is from Igame, aka Colorful. This is their advanced version. It has a turbo button. The Defiant 7 Compact from Fractal Design takes the strongest features from the popular Defiant 7 and incorporates them in an all-new compact and convenient frame. The open layout provides plenty of space for your favorite cooling solutions without taking up valuable desk space, and the tempered glass side panel and interchangeable top allow the Defiant 7 Compact to be customized to your specific needs. To see the full list of enhancements and capabilities of the all-new Defiant 7 Compact from Fractal Design, follow the sponsored link in the description below. You know, it's kind of funny. I think it's interesting they were able to get away with this holographic green on this box that's kind of reflective. Did you know NVIDIA controls their box even on the shade of green they have to use? This is not conform to NVIDIA green. Just putting that out there. I know, right? So let's just go ahead and say the specs. This is a dual BIOS, technically a dual BIOS because you have that button, right? 1440 on both is the base clock, and then the boost is 1785 and 1710. So obviously GPU boost is going to make it go higher regardless. But I figure we'll go ahead and take you guys along for the ride on the unboxing because I've already unboxed one of these. Like I said prior to launch, we had one that was sent back. We were asked not to use it because of things that were discovered, I guess, prior to the launch. Whether that has anything to do with the SP caps or not, I don't know. But we did do a teardown of the other card that they sent us, which revealed that it was using 6 SP caps. But as we've said before, the SP cap is not the end-all be-all in terms of stability. People just wanted to take what we said that way, so whatever. There's the card. They actually give you this really cool screwdriver set. So here is the screwdriver here. Look, it's one of the spinny ones. Those are always nice. And then you get 2 different size Phillips heads. I wonder if they're advocating take our card apart with that. But regardless, let's see what else we got here. So the card is heavy. When I first showed this card to Phil, hey, it's already void. I have no doubt they tested it before they sent it, considering they had already sent us what they deemed to be a bad one. Fun fact, we messed around with it quite a bit and couldn't get it to crash, so I don't know what they considered bad about it, but regardless. We feel that the rendering on the box doesn't do it much justice. Like, Phil saw this and went, gross. He was like, that is disgusting. But then we took it out of the package and he was like, I retract my statement because it might be the most advanced looking card we've seen yet. Gotta get the peel, you ready? Like a Band-Aid. Here's the button on the back right here, as you can see. You push this. This is essentially just the BIOS selector. So instead of being a little toggle on the top, I think they were trying to make it so that you could reach behind the system and switch the BIOS this way. That way you didn't have to open up the side panel and flip a BIOS on here. But the cooler on this thing, first of all, it is like a full-on triple slot, even though it only has a 2-slot bracket on there. This is like a full-on triple slot. This cooler is metal. This is not a plastic shroud. This thing is beefcake. Like, this is like you went to In-N-Out and ordered a 4x4. We were kind of like, what would this fit in terms of aesthetics? And I was like, what if we ever did like another space-themed build, or like, not necessarily Destiny, but let's just say maybe like Valkyrie, or what's that other space game that's been in beta for like 92 years? Oh, Star Citizen? Yeah, Star Citizen, something like that. This has a very nice spaceshipy look to it. What I like though about it otherwise is it's still a standard height card, which makes it have a lot more compatibility in certain cases as long as you can handle the thickness of it. It does need 3 8-pin PCI Express power. And I've seen a lot of people be like, 3 8-pin power, oh my God, that's insane. We've never seen that before. A lot of 2080 Ti cards had 3 8-pin power. It's nothing new. And I'm kind of curious as to why people are freaking out over the 3 8-pins so much when 2080 Ti custom cards had 3 8-pins. In fact, the very first ones we looked at from MSI, back when the 2080 came out, or 2080 Ti, was a 3 8-pin. It's not new. In fact, I am happy to see 3 8-pin because of the fact that these cards, base TDP is 320 watts before any overclocking or anything like that. So considering each one of the 8 pins is able to supply up to 150 watts plus the 75 watts on the motherboard, I would much rather see all the power come through this than the motherboard. What I want to look at today are the thermals, the acoustics. We'll take a look at the lighting on there. I'm most curious though about overclocking, because I want to see how far this card will go without any sort of assistance, if you will. In terms of a 3080, it's all the traditional specs. 10 gigabytes, same memory config, all that stuff, GDDRX, all the good stuff. So that's very like reactory looking, huh? Like you can see how the LED lighting, it's actually pulsing. It's got like a pulse width, which is why you're seeing the fan blades sort of appear and disappear, which I think is really cool. I don't think that's by mistake. I think they did that on purpose. I'm gonna go right to the turbo button, BIOS. There we go. So that button's not gonna do anything on the fly because it's only loading that BIOS at the time that it's booting up. So if you click that button while it's running, nothing happens until the restart. So if you're sitting there clicking it going, nothing's happening as you're in like a benchmark, that's because it only initializes that setting at startup. All right, so this is their Igame Center right here, which you can use to, I guess, control other things in your system that might be Igame ready. But we're looking at the graphics card stuff right here. As you can see, the RGB is, or the lighting is RGB, and it's actually overpowering a lot of the red, which is kind of neat. If it's face down traditionally, obviously you're gonna see it light up right there on the edge. Not a whole lot of lighting functions though. You get static, so let's just make it white. Yeah, white looks cool. White looks good. And then, I mean, flicker, it's not really flickering, it's more of just a heartbeat, if you will. Then there's breathing, which is the one like it already had. Music, which responds to just sound, right? So I'm gonna put it back on breathing with the red because we liked the way that one looked. And then the rest of the app, you can control the overclock settings right here, the power limit. Power limit on this one looks like just a 108. Core voltage is not changeable. You can't change that. You can change the fan percentages right here as a group. Anyway, I don't plan on using this piece of software right now while we play around with their overclocks and stuff. I was just kind of curious as to what their software looked like. I'm gonna go ahead and close out of this one, and then I'm gonna use Afterburner because that's something I'm familiar with. So you can see the 1785 megahertz boost clock right there because we are on the OC BIOS, and Heaven's gonna run right now, which of course is not using any of the RT cores or anything, but it auto boosted right to 1950, which is kind of nice to see. I mean, they pretty much all go there, but it's staying there. Wow, look at that. It's at 51C and it hasn't dropped boost clocks yet. So that's one of the things I wanna look for right now is if it's gonna drop boost clocks on me. So at 54C, it's still at 1950. A lot of graphics cards, is it going up? It's at 1965 now as the temp went up. What sense does that make? Typically, as a graphics card passes 50, you'll start to see the boost bins and the boost clocks really start to drop quickly. But we're still bouncing between 1950 and 1935, and I do have this at 1440p, 4x MSAA, ultra settings, and normal tessellation. These cards are extremely power limited because of the fact that they're on the, and by these cards I mean all RTX 3080s, not just the colorful card. The amount of power that they can draw now, they are much more on the ragged edge in terms of power delivery than before, because remember the RTX 3080 is a 320 watt card versus the 2080 Ti, which was a 250 watt card. So we're talking 70 watts more power draw before you take into account any sort of overclocking. In fact, will it show us power draw on here right now so I can see where we are, wattage wise? Yeah, so we are at 367, 362, 363. So at stock power limit, we are pulling more than 320 because remember, this is the advanced OC, which means the baseline of the overclock or the power draw is higher than the reference card because out of the box, it does come overclocked. So the reason why I'm showing that fact that we are sitting at 360 to 370 watts right now is because of the fact that they've lifted the floor. So your power limit at 100 is, as you can see right now, about 360 watts. That's 40 watts higher than a Founders Edition card. So I see a lot of people complain like, why does this one only go to 105? Well, 105 of 360 is gonna be more than, let's say, 107 of 320. So it's important to know where those power limits are before you even start moving that slider at all. Considering the fact that it's holding its boost bin at these temperatures, tell me that this card is truly, it is truly prioritizing clock speed over temperature. Even if you change the little indicator that says which is priority, power draw or temperature, it seems to just be holding the clocks no matter what we do. So let's see right now if I can go 50 on the core. Let's do 55. I'm not sure where the boost bins are on these. 60 should get us another boost pin. There's 2025, let's do 75. Yeah, so I think we're definitely starting to hit power limit now. See how it's kind of fluctuating a bit right there? And this is where people get into trouble. They'll think because, oh, well, it's not crashing at plus 100. If plus 100 can't be achieved because of the power limit, and then you're doing something in your game that suddenly is a little bit less demanding and it tries to suddenly shoot the clock up high, then it can crash. Which is a lot of what was happening with the crashing 3080s, with the BIOS being a bit too aggressive and the driver being too aggressive on trying to force that clock to go up. GPU boost was actually just being a bit too aggressive there. So see if I go plus 100, see, 2055 and then back down to 2025 because we are power limited. So I could probably go 150 and it won't crash. See? Because we're not getting, well, there's 2100, holy crap. Dude, the fact that that hasn't even crashed yet though is kind of surprising me, if you want to know the truth. 175, it's gotta crash right here, and crash. Yeah, there it is. Jeez, what do you say we just do a Port Royal run real quick to see what we get out of it? So if I compare a Port Royal score that we just got of 12,566, first let's take a look at the temperatures. It maxed out at 55 right at the end of the test. So if we compare that 12,566 to our, so the EVGA XC3 got an 11,355. Now remember that was stock. And then our FE got an 11,466. So you can see, you can easily get more than 1,000 points. Now to put this in perspective, our stock RTX 3090 Founders Edition was a 13,043. So that's why you see a lot of people talking about how the 3090 really is a terrible value, because it is a terrible value for a gaming card. It's just, if you want the fastest card possible, there's an exponential and a terrible ROI and a huge diminishing return on that couple of extra percent. So yeah, 12,566, not bad at all. But in terms of the build quality, I'm not gonna tear this card apart because we already did in another video. In fact, we'll kind of show you that as we talk about it. The cooler design it's massive. So the entire heatsink is just one giant heat pipe system, which most of them are. But there's something about the way that they have these fins designed and the way that they have the airflow designed through them to where you're getting very good memory cooling. Like if I touch the back of the card right now, it's a little bit warm. But what that tells me is that the actual memory heat pads that are on the back are touching the back plate here, which is turning it into a giant heat spreader for the memory. GDDR6X is extremely hot. And as such, keeping it cool is very important. The cooling plate on the cooler does also touch all of the RAMs. It clearly touches all of the MOSFETs. And the way it comes apart is this really interesting sort of a clamshell, where you've got to take off some screws on the face, some screws on the back. The back plate comes off independently, but the way it tightens up and clamshells together gives you really good contact on all of the parts when it comes to cooling. And then the triple fan design, even running at full speed right now, I don't think sounds terrible. I don't think it's really all that intrusive. And remember, this is 100%. So if I go ahead and take this and crank it down to, let's say, something a little bit more manageable for gaming, let's say about 60. Okay, so here's 60%. Like, my mic literally has to be within an inch of it for you to hear it. But there you go. They do have 3090s as well, but the 3080 card from Igame or Colorful definitely seems like a card that if you can get past its very, I want to say anime appearance, it's got a very Gundam look about it, I think. If you can get past that and you don't think that's ugly and the way that you would be looking at it horizontal doesn't bother you, or if you're one of those people that's just like, I want one of the best cards that I can get my hands on, or right now, I think people with 3080, any card they can get their hands on. If you have the opportunity to check out the Advanced OC from Igame, it's definitely worth checking out. It's one of the fastest 3080s that we've had in here so far. And again, it has 6 SP caps, so I don't know. I'm tempted to take that backplate off to see if they changed that at all, because we know the other ones did, but I don't want to take it apart because it was kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest. It did not come apart easy. But anyway, there you go, guys. What do you guys think of the design of this? I think it's definitely a conversation. I forgot it wasn't mounted down. It's definitely a conversation piece in terms of the way it looks. I think this was a design that initially I thought I was going to hate it, but the more we played with it and looked at it and handled it and realized just how beefy and robust and the way it's built, the more I liked it. So there you go, guys. Sound off in the comments below. the advanced OC from Igame. Check it out in the comments down, or the description. And yeah, I'm curious what you guys think about it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.